This came up high.
This is for a state record.
Let's go!
Let's go! Up!
Hey guys, what's going on? So my name is Adam Peeler. I'm 22 years old. I currently weigh 175 pounds. My best meet PRs are a 650 pounds deadlift, a 319 pounds bench press, and then a 424 pounds squat. I currently hold 3 state records in Utah for the junior 20 through 23 class for USPA in the bench press, the deadlift, and for the junior total. And then I currently am going to school for exercise science right now, and I have a huge passion for all things related to exercise science, physiology, getting bigger, jacked, more strong. It's kind of my thing. So I was asked by James to take a few of your questions and answer them, and so I kind of went through the posts that he made on YouTube and chose the ones that got the most likes and the ones I thought were most interesting / I wanted to answer the most. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And if I butcher your names, don't be offended. Just sometimes names are hard. Anyways, so then number one is asked by Ernie Mannebach. What workout he's seen everyone do, but finds to be not as effective as everyone thinks. So right off the bat, what comes to mind is power building based programs where you're trying to increase both strength and hypertrophy at the same time. And the biggest problem with that is that you run into issues with adaptive resistance. Basically, the longer that you run the program, the harder it is to see progress. And the reason why that is the case is because maximizing strength and versus maximizing hypertrophy are two completely different physiological processes. So when you are training for strength, it's all about neuromuscular efficiency. How good you are at producing force with that muscle to have maximal output. It also has to do with technique, but that's primarily the primary contributor. How good you are at producing force. Hypertrophy is all about volume. So we have research that shows that hypertrophy is volume dependent, and you know, it's not a perfect linear dose response curve, but basically if you need to have enough volume to see hypertrophy, and in order for that growth to happen with the muscle. So the problem with that is that strength training is highly fatiguing. You're using percentages closer to your 1 rep max in order to develop that neuromuscular efficiency. But why that is problematic, why it's more fatiguing, is that with hypertrophy, we want to get more volume in. So if it's dependent upon volume, what happens is when you're training for strength, you have something called your minimum effective volume now for growth, your maximum recoverable volume for growth. Minimum effective is just exactly how it sounds, the lowest amount of volume you need to do to see strength adaptations, and then MRV is the maximum amount of volume that you can actually do and recover from. What happens is when you train for strength is you actually, because it's so much more fatiguing because you're using heavier weights, you cannot do as much volume and actually recover from it. Now, I said that volume is the main contributor to hypertrophy, to muscle growth. If you're limiting your volume by doing more strength work and trying to do that at the same time and try to maximally express both qualities, you're not going to see very great progress in either area. You'll probably stall out or you'll be basically leaving some gains on the table. So what I would recommend doing is separate those phases into blocks. So where you're focusing on maximizing strength, you're doing lots of, you know, heavy compound lifts, emphasizing the ones that you want you to get stronger on, training in percentages closer to your 1 rep max, you know, probably within the 3 to 6 rep range mostly, and then hypertrophy 6 all the way up to even 30 reps. But for most people, I would say, you know, keep most of that volume within the 6 to 12 rep range for hypertrophy, and separate them, because again, we want to have as much of an adaptation in one area as we possibly can. If you're trying to do both all at once, it's kind of like juggling and trying to run as fast as you possibly can. You're not going to be able to do both as well as you possibly could as if you were to just focus on one. The same thing with your body and with this principle. So yeah, too long, didn't read. Power building just is not as effective as everyone thinks. What is my, number 2, Pfaffinator basically asks, what is your why? Why do you powerlift and compete? What drives you? I think the biggest thing with this is just that I just simply like how I feel when I lift up heavy shit and put it back down. I've always been an athlete. I like being in that competitive setting. I honestly feel like with lifting weights, it's kind of like that RPG constantly, and you're like that main character. It's always about leveling up, getting stronger, maximizing it, you know, just trying to be better. And you know, I compete because it gives me, like, I've always been an athlete. I've always, you know, competed in sports growing up. I've always lived a fairly active lifestyle. I have cousins that have, you know, played sports professionally, and I just love how it feels when I'm on the platform and, you know, I'm doing my best, and I'm just setting a new PR in the gym, getting better. It gives me a sense of purpose in life. I think that we all need that motivation, that direction, like a goal. I think that's another big one. Like, just gives me a goal every single day. You know, it gives my life some structure. You know, I have to watch my sleep. I have to make sure I'm eating right. I need to make sure my training is on point, my recovery, you know, all of that. So that's the main reason why I compete. Number 3, this is a perverted name, shame on you. KremeOnHer says, how do you achieve progressive overload when you can't go up in weights? Do you add sets to achieve more volume weekly? So yes, I would add sets. Actually, how I program most of my mesocycles is I start off from my minimum effective volume for growth or adaptations to happen, and you know, in respective to what phase I'm in, to how they change, and then I will actually increase sets each week until I hit my overreaching week, where I will do more volume than I can recover from in order to functionally overreach. And then I will deload and then restart the process over again. But yeah, obviously you grow in, like, it's kind of a really good insurance policy, like, because if you're adding in sets and let's say like you have one variable off, you weren't able to recover right because you were stressed out because your girlfriend got in a fight, money problems came up, just like whatever variable happened, like, and you weren't able to increase weight or your reps, but you added a set, that's still overload. So it's a nice little insurance policy to make sure that your body always has a reason to adapt and get better. Because remember, what you did last week is your minimum effective volume for growth. You literally need to do more than, that's your maintenance volume. And in order to actually have a stimulus for your body to grow and actually to adapt and get better and stronger, you need to do more than you did last week. So that's a good way to do it. So yeah, add sets. Alex Williams asks, what role does he believe accessory exercises play, and are there better ones for different goals? So I think that accessory exercises are vastly overlooked in powerlifting circles. You kind of have like a lot of those camps just like, oh, I just squat, bench, and deadlift, bro, and like don't do anything else. And that's appropriate, I think, only in peaking phases where it's most specific to the competition. You're trying to get as good at those 3 but peaking is also like a short-term thing. I think that accessory exercises are really, really important for just overall strength characteristics and muscle development, for maintaining muscle and lower volumes of training, you know, in your strength and your peaking blocks, just so that you don't lose that muscle. I also think that it's just good to overload those tissues with less, like certain muscles with less fatigue, because you need to remember squat, bench, and deadlift are very, very fatiguing exercises. And if we want to be able to, I guess, max out our recovery growth, and actually like get the most out of our training, it makes sense to properly incorporate accessories in our program in order to you know, get better at the big three. I think it's important to remember though that all your accessories should be specific to the goal of improving the big three. So your squat, bench, and deadlift. If an accessory exercise that you're doing, for example, is like, I don't know, like you're trying to like just like do like max rep like jump squats, for example, or whatever, or like wall sits, like that's really not very related to powerlifting. You know, incline bench press is good for increasing bench press strength because, you know, as an accessory, because it stretches the tissues in a slightly different way. It's a way to get more volume. A way to, you know, get better doing tricep push downs is good if you have, you know, weak triceps. It'll help you out with your lockout. So they basically play a role. It's phase dependent. Basically, if you're doing peaking, the least amount of accessories, general strength, probably in like a middle, a moderate amount, and then hypertrophy is when it's best to have the most accessories, because it's the least specific phase of training, because it's just stimulus dependent, really. But again, if your goal is powerlifting and you want to get stronger in the squat, bench, and deadlift, everything should revolve around that goal. Zach Burnett asks how to deload and how often.